Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something, well, maybe a little unexpected today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, business etiquette.
Interesting.
It's making a comeback, and we're going to figure out why. And more importantly, what it all means for you.
You know, it's funny because the pandemic really did shake things up, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Everyone's suddenly working remotely, video calls everywhere. I think a lot of people felt like the rule book was thrown out the window.
Totally, yeah. It's like we all had to adapt overnight.
Exactly. And even those who considered themselves, seasoned professionals, they were suddenly fumbling through these new ways of interacting.
And now everyone's like scrambling to catch up.
Yeah.
I mean, the demand for etiquette experts, oh my gosh, it's through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Bookings have like quadrupled in some cases.
I believe it.
And even Emily Post's great-great-grandson, Daniel Post-Senning,
Oh, wow.
he said he was just like gobsmacked by how much interest there is all of a sudden.
I think he was quoted in that Washington Post article, right? The
Yeah.
one about how the pandemic completely, messed with workplace norms.
Yeah, exactly.
It really highlights how, this isn't just a fad.
Mhm.
People genuinely feel lost and they're looking for guidance.
They need a new playbook, right?
Yeah.
Especially with this whole hybrid work thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've heard the horror stories, right? Like that CEO who did layoffs over Zoom.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, just thinking about it, delivering that kind of news through a screen,
Ouch.
it just comes across as so impersonal and, well, insensitive, really.
It's like, you can't even look people in the eye when you're doing that.
I think what makes it a real etiquette failure is the lack of empathy, that human connection. You just lose it on these video calls if you're not careful.
So I guess even though you're at home, maybe in your pajamas,
Right.
you still got to be professional.
Exactly. It's all about perception. You wouldn't walk into an important meeting in your PJs, would you?
Maybe some people would.
Maybe. But the same principle applies to video calls. I mean, think about it. Your appearance, your background, even your lighting. It all contributes to how you're perceived professionally.
It's like your digital first impression, right?
Exactly.
Well, speaking of appearances, I wanted to ask you about dress codes.
Oh, interesting.
It seems like, I don't know, Casual Friday has taken over the whole week.
It really has, hasn't it?
I saw a stat that said 7 out of 10 U.S. workers dress casually now.
Wow. I hadn't seen that, but it doesn't surprise me.
Right. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and I think this is where we see that generational divide start to play out,
Totally.
Younger workers, they're used to a much more relaxed dress code.
Yeah.
But then they enter the workforce and, well, clash with those more traditional expectations.
There was this story about an etiquette expert. She was teaching a workshop, and I guess a young woman showed up wearing, get this, a tube top as a skirt.
As a skirt?
As a skirt.
Wow. I always say fashion's about personal expression. But in the workplace, there are just some lines, some boundaries.
Yeah, and maybe those boundaries are a little blurry these days.
It really highlights the need for clear dress codes.
Right.
Something that everyone understands, regardless of, their background or their age.
It's like what's obvious to one person
Exactly.
might be completely foreign to someone else.
Yeah.
And this generational thing, it goes beyond just clothes,
I was going to say communication, too.
Yeah, communication, exactly.
It's fascinating.
Younger workers who grew up, like, glued to their phones.
Texting, social media.
Yeah. They're sometimes not so great at, the face-to-face stuff.
Right. Things like, making eye contact.
Yeah, simple things.
Starting a conversation.
Exactly.
It's like they're missing this whole other language.
It's like they're fluent in tech speak, but not so much in, I guess, professional speak.
Yeah, professional speak.
Or whatever you want to call it.
And that's where those soft skills become so important.
Soft skills, it's like everyone's talking about those now.
It's more than just a buzzword.
Yeah.
You can think of it as the interpersonal skills that you need to succeed in any job, really. And while younger workers might be amazing with technology, they might not have as much experience with those more traditional, those professional skills,
It's like they aced all the tech classes but skipped the class on, like, how to be a professional.
That's a good way to put it.
And companies are noticing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There's this article about a financial firm that was so worried about their young employees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they actually started offering etiquette courses.
Like full-on etiquette courses.
Yeah, like how to behave at a client dinner, how to network.
It's like they're realizing that even if these new hires have the best degrees, they're missing some of those essential skills.
They might have aced their exams, but can they worker room.
Exactly. It's like they're missing that whole other side of professional development.
I guess those skills, they really can make or break your career, huh?
Oh, without a doubt. Think about it.
Mm.
You could be the most brilliant engineer, the most talented analyst, but if you don't know how to communicate effectively,
Or build relationships.
exactly, you might miss out on opportunities.
It's like you're the best player on the team, but you don't know how to pass the ball.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, landing the job in the first place.
Right.
It's about actually thriving once you're there.
Making your mark.
Exactly. And there's this really interesting story about this woman named Taniola Ayula.
Okay.
She graduated from Harvard, super smart,
Wow.
but she realized that she wasn't really moving ahead in her career the way she wanted to.
What was holding her back?
Networking?
Networking.
Yeah, she just felt so uncomfortable with it.
I can relate to that.
All right, it's like that whole thing of, going to events and talking to people you don't know.
It can be so awkward.
And for her, it was actually holding her back.
That's going to be tough, especially when you've worked so hard to get a degree from a place like Harvard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, it just shows that even the most accomplished people can struggle with these things.
Totally. And it's great that she recognized that, right? That it was something she needed to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. And she actually decided to take an etiquette course.
Really, just to focus on networking.
Yeah, to specifically learn how to network effectively.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I mean, it takes a lot of self-awareness to do that, to admit that you need help.
I think so too. And it shows that, this whole idea of business etiquette, it's not about being stuffy or old-fashioned. It's
Whoa.
about giving yourself the tools to succeed.
It's like investing in yourself, right?
Exactly. It's about learning how to navigate the modern workplace with confidence.
And authenticity, right? Because you don't want to come across as fake.
Oh, absolutely not. It's got to be genuine.
So it's not about, memorizing which fork to use at a fancy dinner.
Right.
It's about building real connections and communicating effectively.
Exactly. And that applies to everyone, whether you're, just starting out or you're a seasoned CEO.
Yeah, we can all use a little refresher sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think we've all had those moments where we've felt awkward or unsure of ourselves in a professional setting.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maybe it was a networking event or a client meeting.
Or even just writing an important email.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, thinking about that, what are some areas where you think professionals could really benefit from brushing up on their etiquette?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Right. There's so much to consider.
I mean, there's public speaking, which terrifies a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. And it's such a crucial skill these days.
Mhm. And then there's, email etiquette, which can be a minefield.
No, for sure. One wrong word and you can really damage a relationship.
And giving and receiving feedback, that's a tough one.
It is. It really is. And it's so important, especially in today's work environment where collaboration is key.
Yeah, you got to be able to give and receive constructive criticism without getting defensive.
Exactly. It's about having those difficult conversations in a way that's respectful and productive.
So this whole resurgence of business etiquette, it's really about giving ourselves the tools to be more effective in our work lives.
I think so, yeah.
It's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about continuous improvement.
I like that.
Always striving to be better.
And to adapt,
Yeah.
because the workplace is constantly changing.
Exactly. So as we're kind of wrapping up this deep dive, what's one small thing that our listeners can do this week?
This week.
Yeah, just one small thing to enhance their professional interactions.
That's a great question to ponder.
Right. Because it doesn't have to be a huge overhaul.
No, not at all. It could be something as simple as, sending a handwritten thank you note
Oh, that's a good one.
or being more present during virtual meetings.
Yeah, put down the phone, pay attention.
Exactly. Or even just practicing your elevator pitch.
So you're ready when the opportunity strikes.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's about being intentional,
Yes.
about putting those etiquette principles into practice.
It's like those little things, they can really add up, right?
They really can.
Right.
It's about making a conscious effort to to be more mindful of our interactions.
Because at the end of the day, business etiquette, it's not about, stuffy rules or being a robot.
Oh.
It's about building genuine connections with people.
Exactly.
And that's something we can all get better at.
I agree.
Yeah, it's like we're all works in progress, right?
Exactly. And even those small changes, they can make such a difference in how we're perceived and how we connect with people.
It's like we're constantly leveling up our people skills.
Exactly.
Well, we've covered so much ground today. It's amazing to see how much this whole business etiquette thing has evolved.
It really has.
It's definitely not your grandmother's etiquette anymore.
No, not at all.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I always like to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Okay, I like that.
Something to kind of, chew on, maybe spark some ideas.
Okay.
So thinking about everything we've talked about today,
Yeah.
what's one small thing that you, our listener, can do this week to kind of elevate your professional interactions?
That's a great challenge.
Right. I mean, it doesn't have to be some big drastic change.
No.
Just one small step.
It could be, like we said, that handwritten thank you note.
Always a classic.
Always a classic.
Or maybe it's, finally working up the courage to talk to someone you admire at an industry event.
Yes. Step outside that comfort zone.
Right. Or maybe it's being more mindful of your tone in emails.
Especially those tricky ones, the ones where you have to deliver some tough feedback.
Yeah, those are always a challenge.
So yeah, I think the key takeaway here is that business etiquette, it's not about, being stuffy or following some outdated rule book. It's about giving yourself the tools and the confidence to really shine in your professional life.
It's about being your best self, but the professional version.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to sign off. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating world of business etiquette.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, keep learning, keep growing, and keep those manners sharp.
Until next time.